What's up, everybody? It's your boy Tru Element 78 in the building with
your one and only reigning, defending Mondo Lucha Hall of Famer, the X-Man, Xavier Mustafa.
And everybody's favorite narcissist, the natural Chris Black.
And today is a very special edition of the Saturday Night Slamcasters. On today's episode, we are going to be doing a review of a WWE film in collaboration with Warner Brothers called Scooby-Doo and WWE Curse of the Speed Demon. But for this review, we have a special guest in the building with us, and I'm going to go ahead and let them introduce themselves.
I'm Tommy Ludan, otherwise known, and you can find me at Ludio1, pretty much on any social media.
All right, and we have you on the podcast today to review the Scooby-Doo movie with us. Give the people a little bit more background about you. What do you have going on that people out there should know about right now?
A little bit of everything. So the boring day job, I'm an attorney, but that's thankfully turned into a little bit more fun. I started Carcade. It's a kind of an anywhere arcade, being able to set up video games pretty much anywhere you want to hang out with friends, recreate that vibe of I got next and jumping on sticks. So whether it's setting up a tourney or a league or a tailgate or any kind of party really where you want to be able to set up outside and play games, that's what it started as, and it's kind of just been picking up steam and running from there.
All right. So for those who don't know, well, one of the interesting things is that we allow our guests to pick the films that we review. So this is the movie that Tommy picked.
You're welcome in advance.
And so it's very interesting, and I think it's going to be an interesting discussion having an attorney on. But let me ask you a little bit about the Carcade. So what made you start Carcade?
So it was just a conversation with friends, kind of like this, where born and raised in Milwaukee, but went to Florida for law school. And just between the two bar exams, because I was one of the lucky few to have to sit for it here in Wisconsin, I was like, how great would it be to go to the ballpark and play Mario Kart or Tecmo Bowl or Madden at Lambeau Field. And for whatever reason, that seed kind of stuck with me. And then I was like, all right, still went the law route, did that, came home, worked for a firm. But when the firm closed up shop, I just said, you know what, I'm going to try this. And if it works, great. And if not, at least I don't have to wonder what if anymore. So figured out a way to build it, did the business plan, all the research, all the behind the scenes stuff. Having the legal background kind of helped with that. But it really just turned into this social entertainment business, I guess you could kind of say. It's the same thing as like karaoke or trivia. I mean, it's a chance to like be around friends, have something to do, and it just a different form of entertainment. So the games are great, and like for me, there was no beating that, either having friends over or going to a friend's house and kind of, like I said, who's got next, or like, waiting your turn to jump on and going from there.
So I imagine somebody who starts pretty much a mobile arcade business, that you were kind of a nerd growing up.
not probably. I mean, I was pretty well balanced. I mean, I did all the sports. I played outside, so it's not like we just lived on the consoles or anything like that. And it was just like, hey, if it's here, we'll play it, and if not, we'll just figure something to do, whether it's playing outside or do whatever. So I'd like to think pretty well balanced, but
not a negative thing, especially in 2021. Nerds, we rule the world.
Oh,
exactly.
Come a long way from getting
quote?
stuffed in lockers.
Like it's something like smart is the new sexy. Smart is the new sexy. I'm good with that.
Right. But I was asking that basically. So were you a Scooby-Doo fan growing up? Is that part of the reason you picked this film?
100%. Like when it was at the top of the list, I was like, man, it might not be left over, but I'm like, A, Scooby-Doo fan. B, it was a chance to really dive in to like see how it kind of came together with the wrestlers, because I always loved those guest episodes where it was like they have Batman and Robin on, or the Globetrotters, and so it's just, all right, let's see how they did it with wrestlers.
Globetrotters episodes are classic.
I'm not even gonna lie, I actually do enjoy, to this day, I still enjoy the live action Scooby-Doo films. That's how big of a fan of Scooby-Doo that I am.
The live action?
I see.
Yes.
Not to get worked up, but I couldn't stand the live action. I'm a huge Scooby-Doo fan, and that,
what?
Man,
They had Scrappy-Doo be the fucking heel.
as the villain. Like how you have Scrappy as the villain? Like,
oh man, I loved it.
Scrappy was a villain, if I remember from the cartoon growing up originally.
no, Scrappy was like Scooby's muscle that like they always had to bail out because he had a loud mouth and just jumped into stuff that he shouldn't have.
He was kind of a heel.
No, he was like that annoying like friend that always just gets in trouble at the bar, and you're like, no, dude, just cool out. Hey, I'm really, really sorry. Let me buy your next round. And like that's who Scrappy was. And then they're like, dude, we're turning him to heel. Forget this noise.
I thought it was great.
So just a couple more questions, and then we'll get into the movie review for you. What type of law did you study? Did you study anything specific, or is it just general law?
So you you kind of have to learn a little bit of everything for the bar exam. I did a certificate in international law. I speak a few languages, so that was kind of something that I was really excited to do, especially being down in Florida, like coming back up from Miami before I, worked here again. But it was just, so that was kind of where I wanted to go. But then it was one of those things where even with Carcade, I kind of pulled nuggets from my whole background where, a family owned like transportation company here. And like my uncle started a limo company in Milwaukee. And then, so I worked for him and I kind of got to see what the vehicle stuff was like. I wrote for a video game law blog coming out of law school. So got to touch on some of the legal issues as far as like copyright and IP. And I mean, generally law can get intricate or boring, or it depends on your perspective of it. But that made it a lot more fun for me, whether it was, thinking about something, how it's done in a different country, or in this case, this is, like instead of like shopping for carts, like, the NES championship cartridge that they showed on the Wizard was like limited edition and it's stupid money, but hey, here's the legality behind emulators and ROMs and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's one of the interesting things I know about Carcade, and you make a note of this on your website. No emulators.
Yeah, it's definitely covers, I think, those legal bases in that regard. And kind of, I always say, like, I know the hours that go into developing. I've gotten to meet people that are behind the scenes producing the games just because of this. And so it's like, A, I want to show deference and respect to them. And B, it adds a little bit of that authenticity for, even if it's for the marketable side or whatever, but me just being a gamer growing up, like there's something different to having that cartridge in your hand or whatever game it is. You're like, no, this is literally what we're playing now. So that just adds a little bit of that. And it's whether it's just for personal or it makes business sense, it's kind of a happy medium.
So just for everybody out there, so if they start messaging you, asking you all these legal questions, your main focus is copyright law?
So the best way I can put it is law, because Carcade's been thankfully taking off pretty well, especially since getting through the pandemic, like pretty much everybody had to. Like once the weather turned, it really, that went full time. Still maintain the attorney licenses, but it's more of an on-demand. So if somebody's like, hey, can you look over this contract or explain this to me? Like, I'm happy to start that initial conversation, but I always kind of look at lawyering as being a tour guide. Anybody can do it. The reason lawyers get paid is they're supposed to know how to do it better, find an answer quicker, do things like that. So if there's a way I can help you avoid an attorney, like I'm happy to do that in that brief business realm. But Carcade has thankfully kind of become full-time.
So that means Xavier Mustafa now knows who's going to draw up our contract for that retirement match of his.
I don't want
any special clauses?
I don't want any contracts. I just want to beat you up.
Well, you might need a personal injury attorney though after I get done with you.
You're gonna need an Undertaker. Speaking of the Undertaker,
there's a perfect segue if there ever was one.
All right, so let's get into this film, and then we'll come back to some other questions that we may have. Because I'm sure Xavier Mustafa has some questions he would like to ask as well, but we don't really give a damn about what Xavier Mustafa wants over here. So
true.
Truer words have never been spoken. So, Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the Speed Demon. Thumbs up, thumbs down. How did you guys enjoy this movie?
I'm going to start. I'm going to give this movie 2 thumbs down. I did not care for this movie at all. I fell asleep on it all 3 times I tried to watch it. It was just something about it. I don't know because it was maybe too many characters or just too much going on at one time. And I'm just like, yeah, I tried my best to hang in there. And Scooby-Doo, has that same formula. No matter if it's a movie or the TV show, it's the same old, here's a ghost. Who is it going to be? Oh, it's this person.
So basically it's Monday Night Raw. It's the same thing every time you watch it.
That is it's like a wrestling match. Like the 7 stages of a wrestling match. You got the I don't know how many stages, but the certain amount of
5 stages of Scooby-Doo. Yeah, I mean the one thing I did like was trying to figure out who was who was under the mask. I was hoping it was Vince, so I could say, Austin, it was me all along.
I swear, I thought that's what it was gonna be. It was gonna be Vince doing it was me.
That would, and they kept teasing. I feel like they made his voice sound like it was that ha ha ha, like that McMahon laugh. Where you're like, all right.
I definitely thought it was him when I listened to the demon.
And then even I had to look in the credits. I was like, just to see who it was. I'm like, all right, it really wasn't. I thought maybe it was just Vince doing the voice for something else as the demon, but it had somebody else as a voice actor.
Chris Black.
I give this movie a thumbs up. I think it was fun to watch because I don't know. It seems like WWE characters are already kind of gimmicky, goofy enough, but with this movie, they're allowed because it's animated to be extra goofy. Like they went they went all the way in. They went all in on the characters. I absolutely enjoyed Stardust and Goldust. I think I laughed a little bit too much at their antics, even though, like I said, it was 100% gimmicky. Every catchphrase, every little thing that they kind of overdid it a little bit in this movie, which kind of made it funny.
I will say I thoroughly enjoyed Dusty Rhodes. Also made me kind of sad at the same time that he's no longer with us. But as soon as I realized he was in this movie, I said, okay, all right.
Worst voiceover ever, Dusty Rhodes.
But it was still Dusty, and he's not with us anymore. So
he sounded like
they even made the like you're saying, the catchphrases and everything too, where they made it Scooby-Doo friendly, where Triple H is like, "I'm that darn good." You're like, all right.
Yeah, we weren't gonna get any suckets in the Scooby-Doo movie.
I got 2 words for you. Really, Scooby? Do tell.
Like, come on, Mustafa, you didn't pop when Triple H, busted out of his shirt, like He-Man.
I was like, really? Like, he got 3 times bigger when he did that. Like, the shirt was containing and shrinking him.
I promise you, when he jumped that dude, I thought, he's not going to put this guy over.
Mr. Ludia won.
I wanted finishing moves. That's the one. Every time Triple H jumped on top of it, there was no pedigree. I'm like, what is going on? They even teased. I'm like, all right, maybe this is going to be some random WWE wrestler that comes in. Oh, it's Kane, it's the Demon, and it's because you saw half go for a choke slam. And so oh, maybe they're teasing this it's that surprise run in. But it's just no, I give it a thumbs up. It's been a while since I watched a Scooby-Doo movie or Scooby-Doo anything. It was fun to see, kind of like what you guys are saying, how they just played it up. They didn't shy away from it. They're like, oh, okay, time to let's throw somebody's theme music in here because they're about to go off. And it was just the Miz being stupid and just going crazy, or just having that music kick in and being part of, all right, Shaggy and Scooby are doing nothing but eating. I will say I did not like the detective skills, or oh yeah, this is clearly what happened. You're that made no sense. And I know breaking apart, oh, your detective skills in a Scooby-Doo plot's probably going a little too far, but it just felt like they just, randomly, this is the answer.
I definitely agree with your assessment because we never saw any of those remote control thingies at all in the film, and she just happened. They were using remote controls to control the vehicles and doing all of this, and I'm like, And then WWE, you guys own the WCW license. You could have just used the WCW Demon.
Or Sting, something, they could have Sting or Kane or somebody could have just came in as haha.
And Xavier Mustafa mentioned Dusty Rhodes being in this film and how sad that was. If you look at the entire cast of this film, is sad because only 3 of them are still even in the WWE. They're
true.
all gone, every single one of them. The only ones left are Static Shock. Kofi Kingston. They pretty much had him being Static Shock in this film. He's riding on drones all around and stuff with the dreadlock.
I thought it was more Green Goblin.
Nah,
yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I was just thinking Static Shock because Warner Brothers owns that character. So, so Kofi Kingston is still there, The Miz is still there, and Sheamus is still there. Out of all 20 other cast members are still there. Vince McMahon is half there if you watch his assessment of how he runs the shows now. So,
well, they kind of teased that even in Scooby. It was and McMahon's nowhere to be found. What's going on?
he just wanders off.
I think the lesson is, hey, superstars, you want to be in a Scooby movie? No, just say no. It's not looking good for you in the near future.
Well, that's one of the interesting things. I watched a ton of these WWE animated films. They got the Jetsons, they got the Flintstones, they got all different types of crossovers with Warner Brothers and or Hanna-Barbera characters and different things like that. Because it's basically wacky racers, kind of.
I thought
So
this.
how do the Jetsons and WWE meets the Flintstones stack up this one?
I'm not gonna spoil that because we're gonna be doing reviews on those later
Okay.
on
All right,
down the
fair
line.
enough.
But I can say that being in these types of films is how you actually maintain your status with WWE for the longest amount of time, because they will put you in all of these films, and because usually the films have one superstar, and then it's like all the supporting characters that you don't ever really see on TV. So like in this,
Torito got a lot of play. I was surprised at that.
yeah, see, that's exactly what I mean.
Yeah.
Los Matadors got plenty of shine in this film, more shine than he ever got on the main roster of WWE.
Just gonna say it was a little racist, a little bit.
Yeah. Me and Mustafa
Olé!
are on the same wavelength. Yes. Eating burritos and shit. Like,
That,
oh
that
my
was
God,
coincidence.
this is
It's
just
a
a
total
little.
coincidence. They got the burritos at the buffet line. That's all.
I got a real big Paw Patrol vibe from this whole movie. Like I was just waiting for it to pause and we had to count something, and it never happened.
No. You know what? For some odd reason, throughout this entire movie, all I kept thinking was Boondocks. It's like Boondocks-esque. And for some odd reason, Lord forgive me, when I saw Stephanie McMahon, all I thought was Grandpa's hoe from Boondocks.
And it was interesting too, because like when Lana was speaking, I hadn't heard her speak Russian in so long. I was like, they couldn't even afford to put Lana in the film. They let somebody else do her voice, and I went to go look at the cast, and it was like, oh, that was actually C.J. Perry doing her own voice.
It made me miss the Rusev crush and like everything too. So like even hearing, like you said, so many of the guys aren't in with the company anymore. Like hearing those catchphrases and everything kind of pop like that. It was fun as a WWE fan.
Yeah, it really made you remember, because I like the Stardust character. I know a lot of people didn't, but can't nobody say that Cody Rhodes didn't go all in on that character. And in this film, he went all in. Like,
Is that a pun?
Pretty much the character in the film was how he played the character in real life.
Wait a minute. I'm not letting that pun slip by. He went all in. Come on now.
You got it.
Easter eggs.
But let me go ahead and read the synopsis for those who are listening. Like, we don't like to make you guys sit through the entire thing all the way to the end to hear our thoughts. So now we're gonna get into some of the spoilers and the nitty gritty. Like, we haven't really gotten into much of that. But here's the synopsis according to IMDb. It's pedal to the metal as Scooby-Doo, Shaggy, and the gang team up with the superstars of WWE in this high-octane original movie. When Scooby and Mystery Inc. visit an off-road racing competition, it's not long before strange events start to occur. A mysterious phantom racer known as Inferno is causing chaos and determined to sabotage the race. It's up to Scooby-Doo, Shaggy, and their new driving partner, The Undertaker, to save the race and solve the mystery, along with other WWE superstars such as Triple H, Paige, and Sheamus. It's time to start your engine and your appetite, because Scooby-Doo and WWE are chasing down adventure and laughs just for you.
So,
At certain points, I even forgot it was a Scooby-Doo movie because the WWE characters were just so just in your face.
Where's Fred? Who cares? Let's get it back on Sheamus for a while.
Sheamus and Paige had the two least amount of things to do for this film.
But Sheamus played the straight man between Goldust and Stardust. That was funny.
Yeah, I've been a fan of Sheamus. Here's an Easter egg for you guys. So Dusty Rhodes is in this film. Do you know who was supposed to originally be in the film before Dusty Rhodes?
I'm gonna say Flair.
Who?
I'm gonna say Flair.
What are your guesses?
I'm gonna say. I've got nothing.
I would guess Hogan just because I'm thinking back to the cartoon, that Superstars cartoon.
Okay, so this film was originally released digitally first on July 26th of 2016, and then it got a direct-to-home video release on August 9th of 2016. But the majority of the work was done and the voiceovers were done back in 2015. If you guys think back to 2015, what happened in 2015 that was a major scandal in wrestling? It was Hulk Hogan's racist rant came out, and so WWE severed ties with Hogan. Hogan was supposed to be in the film, not Dusty Rhodes.
Oh,
And
wow.
so-
Ding,
So they had to substitute Hogan out and put Dusty in the film. And this is the last thing that Dusty Rhodes really did for WWE before he passed away.
It seemed like a really random choice. I was like, oh, and the legend is like, and it's not hating on Dusty, but given what WWE is promoted as, like, they're even in the Legends house and everything, like, oh, we're gonna go with Dusty Rhodes. Okay.
Right.
Yeah, Dusty really like no. This isn't disrespect or not to Dusty, but Dusty kind of only got in the film because he was around. He was training wrestlers at the Performance Center still. So, and he was making appearances on television with Stardust and Goldust around this time as well, I believe. Yeah, because he passed away on June 11th, 2015. So that lets you know, like, took about a year and a half for them to get this film made. So I thought that was pretty interesting, though, that he always plays second fiddle to all these other superstars.
But at least he felt better and he could throw the cane away at the end of the movie.
What you guys think? What did you guys think about the how they integrated the Scooby-Doo characters into, like, a WWE story, or how WWE was integrated into because we talked about the classic Scooby-Doo universe of the Globetrotters and Batman and Robin and all these people coming in, and you guys kind of remember those episodes. How do you think it went with them working with the WWE and working them into the show?
So as the odd man out, I'm going to say it was a mess. It was too many characters. That's my biggest complaint about it. It was too many characters in too big of roles. Like, maybe if they would have made everybody else's role really, really small, but I mean, you got a lot of everybody, and I just thought it was too much.
I thought they integrated it pretty well. Obviously, it would have been too cliche just to integrate them in a straight up wrestling environment. So I kind of like that they did a car race, but you had Michael Cole on commentary, just like commentary on Raw, still sounding bad.
I like how they gave him the soul patch, though, even in the cartoon form.
Well, I think that
Dang.
Did we lose Chris Black?
Yeah, we lost Chris Black. I have no idea what happened to that man. I think the demon got him.
Rest in peace, Chris Black.
How did he do it? It's this magic airbag and these remote controls and
actually, I think he just did some whatever Stardust and Goldust were doing in there.
Yeah. And I love how there was never an explanation. It was just glitter. What happened? We're back, and it's more glitter. You're welcome.
Yeah, so we just Levioso freaking Chris Black, so he'll be back. Maybe he'll pop back in. But let's get to some of the cast. So here's all the superstars that were in here. Like I said, this is a very depressing list because what would the guess be? Like 93% of these people aren't with the WWE anymore. And I'm just going to run down the superstars. You had Diego and Fernando, otherwise known as the Colones. El Torito was with them. So this was when they were Los Matadors. This was before they were telling people come to the beautiful island of Puerto Rico. You had Goldust, you had Kofi Kingston, you had Lana, you had Stephanie McMahon, you had The Miz, you had Paige, you had Dusty Rhodes, Rusev, Sheamus, Stardust, Triple H, Undertaker, and Vince McMahon. Who do you think was the best voice actor in the film that was, from the WWE?
I gotta go with Taker. I wasn't expecting. I was curious how they're gonna make Undertaker fit in Scooby-Doo, because it just seems like, unless you go like the full, oh, this house is haunted or something like that. Okay, cool. I get the Taker vibe, and that could have been a really good way to create a plot. Or even if like, oh, it's this 2-man like challenge, like involve a ton of tag team. Like, why didn't, like, it's right there for you on a platter. Just take it and run with it. But I think even the way that, I mean, he dropped all his catchphrases. But he still did it in like friendly cartoon fashion. So somehow that worked, and I think it's just a credit to Taker.
I'm going to go with Lana and The Miz. I thought them were the only two that sounded like their WWE characters the entire time. I feel like Undertaker kind of went in and out. Like, you can tell it was the Undertaker, but it didn't sound like him like all the time. Michael Cole didn't even sound like Michael Cole. Like, I had to look on the internet to see if it was Michael Cole playing the Michael Cole character because he didn't sound like he sounds on WWE TV, which I'm like, you have a microphone in front of you all the time. Why is your voice different? I don't get it.
I'm gonna go with Stardust and Goldust and The Miz. And the Miz should just do cartoons. Like he needs to do voiceover work. Period. Because I'm watching Invincible on Amazon right now, and he's basically that Firestarter character from there. I think the Miz has his second career after wrestling is done for him.
After the Marine 17.
Oh, I can't wait for us to review those movies.
No.
You gotta binge them start to finish. Just go like start Marine 1 and then end if they stop at some point. Wow, you're probably gonna have to like take it on the road. Like we're live at Marine whatever number they're on and just broadcast from the showing.
Listen, Tommy, what do we do to you?
I'm here as an idea guy.
So
it'll be friendly content for future thumbs down. That's all.
I don't know. There's been movies that we've come on here to review that we thought we were gonna thumbs down, and then we watch it. We're like, why didn't I watch that movie sooner?
Which movie was this?
The Condemned was one for me. I don't know why I never watched that film.
I know why I never did.
Every time I hear The Condemned, I always hear Santino singing about it. What was it? The Amy Winehouse song? They try to make me watch it, but I said no.
What was the one with Seth Rollins that I really liked, but y'all both hate it?
Oh my God. You gotta be
the one with Wesley Snipes.
No, was it Wesley Snipes? It was Wesley Snipes, wasn't it? No.
It was Wesley Snipes. It was I don't remember anymore. That movie, I tried to forget that movie.
That movie was horrible.
90% of that movie was great. You guys just didn't realize it.
The movie was trash. So we got a saying on here: you don't trust anything this man says. Like anytime he's heard Mustafa open his mouth, it's opposite day, and that makes sense because he's a booker as well. Whatever the booker tells you, don't believe it. Oh, you gonna get your money.
Oh, no!
Sorry, kid, the house was down.
Mustafa don't do us dirty like that.
Well, you on the ends with him. Of course, you gonna give. So, what do you guys think overall? Like, what was your favorite part of the film?
I popped when what was the character's name? Inferno jumped on the scene Inferno. Because I immediately thought of Death Race. And I was like, oh my God, he's gonna kill everybody. And then he just kind of didn't kill everybody. But that was my favorite part when he first came on the scene.
I'll tell you guys my favorite part was actually when him and the Miz were having their fight in the parking lot and everybody came out to start watching it.
Right, nobody helped.
I just thought it was funny.
Was that a callback to the previous one? Because this was the WrestleMania Mystery 2, right?
It was after WrestleMania Mystery.
Because like Miz was saying something like, "This is the second time I've been jumped in a parking lot," and I'm like, "Wait, what?" I was like, I don't know if I'm missing the joke there or whatever, but it was just like, all right, cool, maybe that was the first one. I don't remember.
Yeah, I did watch the WrestleMania Mystery, but I forgot it.
I don't know about what my favorite part of the movie was, but I enjoyed every scene that Goldust and Stardust was in.
Well, like when Sheamus was driving, he was like, "Why don't you guys just disappear?" And just and then it came back like, "Where did you guys go?" I completely forgot about Cody Rhodes hissing at people when he was Stardust.
Oh, and then they did the Gangnam style like pose on top of the hood too.
Yeah.
Those characters were made to just be animated.
And not to tear apart the plot of this, but like X was saying, like you had the car come in like, oh no, all the cars are fine, they're back to normal again. Like that would have been the perfect way to say like, oh, this car is out and this car is out. Like, and they're just like, nope, they're all still in. Keep going.
Well, no, they actually destroyed Undertaker's car.
Yeah, but then he got to drive like a food truck, which, hey, I still to this day, anytime I make a sandwich, it's got that like Scooby standard. You want it to be that like foot high, like perfect looking sandwich. And B, like, come on, like you knew them. Okay, they made the mystery machine look proper, for, like as far as how they tricked it out and everything. But I'm like, to see this random little sub sandwich, like, oh yeah, like that lasted how many? And like they took takers out in one race. Okay.
And then we got the great line, "Rust in peace."
It was so cheesy. It was good.
Didn't he pop between both? He's like rust and rest.
I like how when they did the reveal of the busted car, you heard the dong.
They just put that gong anywhere they could.
Oh no!
We don't know how to make it work.
What happened to all the salami in the cooler went bad? Dong.
So from an attorney's perspective, when they solved the case and they've realized it was Triple H all along, how would that have held up in court?
I avoided like the courtroom aspect of law. My go-to corny line was always, I said I practice pajama law. Like if I had to be in court or something, great. But if you said, hey, review this, I could always roll out of bed and still apply that same knowledge to reading the contract, doing whatever that. So it was kind of nice in that regard. But like we were saying earlier, like it just felt so random. And all the explanation wasn't even anything they even hinted at. It's like, oh yeah, it's like they stole the Men in Black airbag that like totally just randomly fills up a seat. And then they had two of them that looked like each of them. I'm like, this is the most, like, I feel like Scooby, at least, they would lay like plot crumbs. And this was just like a choose your own adventure that you turn to the wrong page and like, yep, that's the ending we're going with.
Yeah, because I felt like every time that Stephanie and Triple H were driving, I could have swore they gave us, like, I only watched the movie one time. I didn't care enough to go back. But I felt like we always got like reactions from Triple H and Stephanie to everything that was happening. So it's like, hold on, so what? It was an airbag, perfect replica. And then I thought it was hilarious when they had Stephanie wearing the Inferno suit and Triple H is like, make it look good.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, honey.
Calling matches and shit.
I like how they were the Authority. And then what was the car called?
It was the company car, wasn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, the company.
That was solid. I mean, that was a pretty good reference. I like that.
Just like Undertaker was the legend car, Legends car.
And even in cartoon form, Vince McMahon is the dick to his kids. He's like, yep, arrest my daughter and son-in-law.
Go to jail.
Take him away.
Well, now,
and I like how they like did these like not so subtle flexes. Oh, I'm sorry, your dad's only a millionaire. Mine's a billionaire.
I know. She's like, there's a difference between a millionaire and a billionaire. She's like, what? She's like, I'm sorry. It's just the stress getting to me.
Oh my God, that's your daughter. You're sending her to jail? Yeah, but my lawyers are going to get her out because they're really amazing. Like, okay, Vince.
Hold on. Cool. Let's not fool ourselves. Daphne wanted to fuck Stephanie. She definitely wanted to get with Stephanie McMahon.
Man, Triple H took both of them down. Just
well, you saw the scene where Stephanie was like, "Hey, yeah, you ready, Daphne?" She's like, "Sure am." I'm like, "Yeah."
They walked off holding hands too. One thing about this is that kind of tripped me out. I was like, I don't remember Scooby and Shaggy were like afraid of every single thing in this film. It kind of got a little bit annoying. Like anything.
They always are scared. They're scared of everything. That's their gimmick.
So I got a question for you, Scooby-Doo enthusiast. I think that's the word. How long has Matthew Lillard been playing Shaggy? Because I feel like that's been since the live-action movie. Or has he always been playing
No,
Shaggy?
this is a be fun background. Do you guys remember who did the original Shaggy voice? Because I think that's why Lillard took over because of the live-action movie.
No, who did the original?
Somebody that probably was a pedophile, right?
Not that I'm aware of. I mean, I'm not a pedophile. What was the enthusiast? Is that the word you use? I'll stick to being a Scooby enthusiast. But I don't remember too many Me Too issues about this guy.
Okay. I don't remember.
Any guesses? I'm pretty sure it was Casey Kasem.
Really?
He was the dude that did like, thank you for listening, the top 40. This is so-and-so called in, and they're dedicating this song to so-and-so.
Right.
And he did like 3 of the voices on the show, I think. I think he was Fred, he was Shaggy.
Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing. Wow. He was in Senseless? Really? Okay, so all right.
Didn't know that.
I'm looking some stuff up. So Matthew Lillard's been doing it ever since the live action Scooby-Doo movie back in 2002. And that seems wild to think that was back in 2002.
Wow. Yeah, that's insane.
Matthew Lillard got to be like 60 years older now.
Born in 1970.
Oh, he's not much older than me.
50.
Wow. I'm learning new things just because I Googled. I'm like, all right, am I bringing up something bad with Casey Kasem? But no, like so safe Google search so far. But I never knew Shaggy had an actual first name.
Oh, yeah.
What is it?
Norville Rogers. That's Shaggy. Per wiki.
That's random.
Yeah, what do you guys see? I was waiting for them to see the Scooby-Doo movies. They need to address this samurai Shaggy thing that's been going around the internet for a couple of years, where he's basically like he's a Jedi. Nobody knows it.
Look, people. Look, I admit I fell for the whole Jar Jar Binks being a Sith, but come on, Shaggy being a samurai. Stop playing.
He's more of a ninja. I mean, come on. Like, look at how him and Scooby just escape every situation. They can hide in any kitchen behind any counter, and no matter.
Yeah,
like
but
they have those escape skills just like this.
They've got the Inspector Gadget look, though. It's like it was Penny and Brain that was getting them out of shit. Like Shaggy and Scooby didn't really solve a goddamn thing.
They would accidentally solve a case.
They were the ones that saw Triple H replacing the airbag.
See, they read the 48 Laws of Power. They didn't want to show their hand.
They played the fool to catch a fool.
Yeah.
How can I really fool? You know what? The best thing to pull off, that just say zoinks every time. Like, what? Yeah, we can't take them seriously. Smartest guy in the room.
That's where I've been messing up. I've been saying crikey for all this time. I should have been saying.
There's a Scooby-Doo and Batman movie.
You never seen that?
Yeah, you never seen that?
No.
Oh, wow.
The Brave and the Bold?
There's a Lego Scooby-Doo. What? I should never got to Matthew Lillard's Wikipedia.
Yeah, don't worry. We'll watch all of those for you.
Scooby-Doo done crossed over with basically everybody.
I like how you're like, wait, don't create this like giant movie watching night of the Marine. You're like, wait, there's a whole new thread of Scooby-Doo movies I can catch up on.
Because he enjoyed this one so much.
Wait. He was in.
I mean, thumbs down. They're all going to be thumbs down. No, absolutely.
Wait. So there's a Scooby-Doo and the Curse of the 13th Ghost. And what movie was Matthew Lillard in? 13 Ghosts.
Mm-hmm.
Antonio Banderas. What? No, that was 13th Warrior. Right, that was 13th Warrior.
Yeah. So yeah, you have a lot of watching on your hands. You got to go back and watch all the Robot Chicken episodes as well.
Oh, I've seen all of those. Trust me. That was my show.
Has there been a Scooby-Doo video game?
I'm sure there has. There had to be one. One that, again, speaking to like kind of this realm that I didn't even know there was. I ended up watching Thundercats because I was a huge Thundercat nerd too. And there was a Nintendo DS Thundercat game. I'm like, that's news to me.
Really?
So through Carcade, do you do Game Boys or anything like that? Or R Zones or Virtual Boys?
I haven't had too many Virtual Boy requests, thankfully.
Oh my God, Virtual Boy.
Do you have Power Gloves available?
Dude, so I have a love-hate. I don't know if you can see it. It's kind of hiding in the background behind me. There's actually a Power Glove that, it was so broke, it didn't work. Like, the way you had to set it up even back in the day was terrible. It was, like, it was kind of the precursor to the Wii, which I'm glad they had it for that. It looked cool, but we used it more as a batting glove just to mess around in baseball than we did anything, because it was terrible.
See, one of the gaming peripherals I always wanted, I don't know if you guys remember this, but they mainly sold it, like, through, like, a collaboration with, like, Mortal Kombat, I believe.
The Activator.
It was the mat that you could stand on.
Yes, the Activator, the Sega, yep.
Yep, and you could pull off the moves. I always thought that was so cool.
It was just like hoopty power pad. That's all it was.
Yeah.
The hoopty power pad.
And then they had like a vest and everything you could put on too, so you could feel the impacts.
Listen, I was too lazy for that. The closest I got to that, any type of game like that, was Wii Sports.
Come on, you didn't have the power pad on instead of running. You just like da 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 and just fist pound.
Was
No.
that the Olympics? What
Yeah.
was the game that goes with that? The Olympic Games or something like that?
Yeah, world class track meet. That's what it was.
There you go.
So to answer the question from earlier, Scooby-Doo video games, there are actually 13.
That lets me know that they're no good. No bueno on those games.
They went
They
across
had-
quite a few consoles too. I mean, from way back to new stuff.
It sounds like it got the ET treatment where they took it all and just buried it somewhere in the desert.
Yeah, one of them came out on a Commodore, so I mean that's a pretty interesting one to find.
Scooby's just 3 like brown sticks.
They had a Scooby-Doo game on the PC.
Was that a Commodore or the Commodore 64?
Commodore 64.
Okay. Oh man. So what?
And the Commodore Plus.
Oh wow.
A couple of them. But to answer the other question, Game Boy is not that bad because if you have a Super Nintendo and you have a Super Game Boy, some of them actually play pretty well, and you can pop in a few colors that way. But with Carcade, I try to use as many games where you can get as many people playing as possible as often as possible. So stuff like Blitz, fighting games where everybody can just like, all right, winner stays, and then you just keep playing through everybody that way.
I remember
So
when
let me ask you this, because I'm sure you don't. Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
I was going to say, I don't know if it was NES or SNES, but one of those systems when they first came out with the little adapter where you can plug in 4 controllers, like I remember that blew my mind as a kid. I said, oh my God, 4 people can play the game at the same time? And now with MMORPGs, you can play with 1 million people at once. It's crazy.
That had to have been NES because Super Nintendo. Oh wait, no.
They both
for
had
some reason I thought it had 4, but no, it did not.
Yeah, I had it for Sega Genesis because I used to do it with NBA Jam.
Do you remember?
And depending which one you had, because they had one for Genesis, especially, they had 2 different adapters. They had the 4-play that took up both ports, and it was like the EA sponsored one or whatever. And then they had the team player, but the team player is good because same as Super Nintendo's version, you could do like 5 people depending on the game.
Because I had that one, and then I had the one on PlayStation as well, where it was shaped like a V, and you could plug in 4 controllers as well.
Which they actually just came out with a wireless PlayStation controller. Like that's kind of the fun thing about being in this, and being in that nerd realm, as we were kind of saying earlier, is you see some of the cool new toys coming out, and like wireless 64 controllers, which, oh my God, I'm still waiting for the Revenge, the No Mercy, like I was hoping if we can squeeze that in, like I want to get your guys' thoughts on that, because like what's your favorite wrestling game and everything, but I don't want to bogart anything, apologies.
Oh no, that's fine. My favorite wrestling game of all time. The basic answer everybody likes to give is No Mercy, but I had to say I spent the most time with SmackDown versus Raw 2007, so that would probably be my go-to. And there's so many legendary, like that's probably the most complete roster they've ever had. Like everybody's in that game: Kurt Angle, Eddie Guerrero, Undertaker, John Cena, like Brock Lesnar, everybody's in that game.
Unfortunately, I'm the one on the podcast that is not really a gamer. I kind of fell off of video games after, I'm sorry to say, but like Super Nintendo. I mean, I owned
Donkey Kong Country.
All right.
I owned a PlayStation 1, but I didn't play it much. So I don't know. My last wrestling game that I played would have been like the WrestleMania one, where the Undertaker used to throw the demons at you. Shawn Michaels had the sliding super kick.
The
WrestleMania
weird
arcade
fighting one, yeah, the arcade one, yeah.
Yeah. My kids nowadays with their with their like Raw 2K whatever, I always get my ass kicked.
So here's my relationship with wrestling video games. I hate them all because my friends make me hate them. So back in the day, and I want to say it might have been Nintendo, maybe one of the newer systems, my best friend Rob was so good at these games. So you hit the button, you lock up, and you have to press the button to get the thing to go to your side. It was no chance in hell, no pun intended, that I could ever get that thing to go my way. So I would just get my ass kicked the entire time. Then as an adult, I started to try to play them again. And the one I probably played the most was SmackDown Just Bring It, the one with the rock on the cover.
Okay.
Which was okay, because I even know compared to some of the other games, that wasn't like the best, but that was the only one I played extensively. And then I had a friend named Melvin, who, when I thought I was getting good at it, he kicked my ass just like my friend Rob did. So I said, you know what? Screw this game.
That's actually another game that I just bought for my it's for my PlayStation 3, but it's a PlayStation 1 game. I bought SmackDown 2 Know Your Role.
All right.
So, and I think I paid like $15 for that.
There were a couple. So I mean, obviously, like you said, No Mercy, Revenge was so good too. Like that started it, and that game engine was so. I mean, that's what they used for Def Jam, and like that was just basically wrestling with even crazier moves, and it still played really well. Royal Rumble for Dreamcast was always fun in the arcade.
Underrated.
And Dreamcast in general, yeah.
People don't remember that game. I used to go up to Mayfair Mall because anybody's from Milwaukee knows Mayfair Mall. I used to go up to Mayfair Mall because they had the Royal Rumble, the arcade game in there, and it was the first. You could have 9 people in the ring at one time.
Yeah, that was such a great game for that reason. And the other game that I liked, it was terrible, but I liked it because it had the Hollywood Rock theme in it, and they kind of added the storyline where you could run in backstage and basically build. It was Raw 2, I think, on Xbox and PS.
Oh yeah. WWF Raw or WWE Raw 2 on the Xbox. Yeah. I actually have that. I have that somewhere around.
I mean, the Hollywood Rock is one of my favorite ways anybody's ever reinvented a character. Just because it took The Rock 2 seconds to show how dumb Bill Goldberg is, and I mean, just all he put her like. No one would ever think like The Rock and Hurricane can have great promos together, and it was just perfect chemistry that way.
Yeah. And you mentioned the No Mercy engine, and they use that for Def Jam, Fight for New York, and all those games. I don't know how much you are into wrestling now, but they're bringing that engine back for the AEW video game.
Yep.
So.
That one I'm excited. And it's just, I mean, what's the other one? That's a totally make it a gaming thing. There was one on PS. I'm trying to think of it, like Slam Masters. I mean,
that's what we're named after.
Yeah.
Saturday Night Slam Masters.
Yeah, I mean, it was
Sega Genesis. The one on Super Nintendo was trash, but the one on Sega Genesis was fire because they actually had the death match with the barbed wire ropes.
Yeah, and then they actually did it with PS4 as well.
And it was the first wrestling game with entrances.
Mm-hmm.
Based on the Street Fighter engine.
Yeah, the arcade game was the one like you're saying, like the sliding super kick and Taker throwing demons. That's when I would regularly get my ass kicked in. So
I tried going back and playing one of those recently. And, it was Up Down, the arcade bar in downtown Milwaukee. They have WWF the arcade game. I can't remember if it was WrestleMania or the arcade game, but I was so trash at that.
Do you remember WrestleFest? I mean, I feel like you can't mention arcade and WWE without WrestleFest. I mean,
I'm wrong. It is WrestleFest. That's what they have down there.
Okay, the one with like Warrior and LOD and
yeah.
I mean, it had like anybody that you'd ever want to take in an arcade game, pretty much for wrestling, especially grown up.
And they were supposed to remaster and re-release WrestleFest several years ago this was for the Xbox 360, and then it just never came to fruition.
They did it with a different roster, and it's got a different game now. It's a different title, but it came out not too long ago. I think it's a lot of DLC, but I digress. Apologies for bringing it all about gaming.
Oh no, that's perfectly fine. I think we nailed Scooby-Doo. We gave our ratings for it. It's an animated movie. I say it's worth a watch, especially if you got children and they're into wrestling. Even though they're not probably gonna know who any of those characters are now. Because none of them exist anymore.
So who would have made the most sense as the villain though? Like, or at least a responsible ending. Like, because like I said, that's really what hurt me about the movie.
If it was gonna be a responsible ending, it would have been Vince.
Outside of Vince McMahon, obviously because they didn't. Anyway, The Miz. I think The Miz should have been, because he was all look at me,
yeah,
give me attention. I thought The Miz should have been the villain.
Or Sheamus, like him playing straight the whole time. I mean, like, you stuck me with these two weirdos. Like, and that's just what made him snap. Like anything.
I don't know who I would go with. Because those are some good ones that you named. Maybe one of Dusty Rhodes was it. Maybe it was him.
He kicked his own ass. like a liar with Jim Carrey. Do you mind? I'm kicking my own ass.
It's Fight Club meets WWE.
Right.
Starring Dusty Rhodes.
Yeah. Speaking about that scene, did you like how Undertaker just like lifted the car off of him?
Yeah, he just did a push up.
Let me just. Yeah. After that push up, I'm like, all right, this is gonna be a good watch. I'm good with this.
So I got to get you to see the Jetsons one, because the Jetsons one, they replaced all the wrestlers with robots in the future.
Lord. Hey, that's what's gonna happen in real life.
Yeah, I was about to say they're halfway there in WWE with the way that these promos are written and and everything. And I don't know if you saw what Boston Dynamics is up to these days, but
man, that company is insane.
I'm like, why are you creating this? Why are you creating the tools for our demise?
Why are you even playing? Like, don't play like that.
Like, man, in the comments for that dancing robot, I was like, man, this could teach a few people, more than a few people, some rhythm. Like,
oh, did you see the parkour? Did you see the parkour robot that they put out a couple of months ago?
Yeah, that company's insane.
Yeah, that.
Listen, Terminator 2 was more than a movie.
Yep, thank you.
Most movies are.
They couldn't come out and call themselves Skynet. Like what? Oh, Boston Dynamics. All right, cool.
So, like I said, we talked about the movie. Now let's talk a little bit more about the gaming real quick. Since you, what would you say is the rarest game you have in your collection?
I don't know if there's like a rare one. I always just I still got lucky and didn't sell off everything that I had growing up at like garage sales. So like when I kind of find stuff that I hung on to, that's always great. The easiest one for me, and it's not rare, but it's such a fun game, is Tecmo Super Bowl.
I love doing
that
diagonally to score every time.
Yeah, but unless you were playing like somebody against somebody, because then that guy was always faster and could catch you unless you got juked completely. But it's such a playable game. There's so many, Bo Jackson, Randall Cunningham, that's not Randall Cunningham because he's QB Eagles. And that's boring legal stuff, like, because they didn't sign on with the Players Association. Like, and then like you learn like little nuggets like that, like, oh, okay, that's why that's QB Bills and QB Browns and things like that. So that was kind of cool.
Like on NBA Jam, or every basketball game, it's Michael Jordan, but it's not Michael Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Yep. Well, that's the whole thing with why there's no college football games proper now too, because of the whole likeness and it's not Ray Allen, but it's this shooting guard from UConn who's whatever, and like that's Ray Allen, that's Iverson, clearly that's what they were, and it's just the NCAA didn't want to pay nobody.
And it's funny because they could get away with it before graphics got as good. It's just a blob. It's just an animation. Now it's like,
but it's still legal stuff. Like it's like the likeness thing, and this is like the thing where like if they rattle off all your attributes and they're like, no, it's just this random little pixel. Like, yeah, but everything else is me, and that's kind of the legal argument for it. And that's, like I said, topic for another show if ever, because like, hey, let's wax legal like history, like random stuff.
You're about to be our own little legal eagle here.
All right, the official lawyerly commentary of Slam Masters.
Because there's a question for you, because I remember we all know what happened with the NFL. Madden got the exclusive rights to the NFL for like damn near 20 years. But 2K did release like that all pro football where they got like all the legends and different things like that. But like what you just mentioned with the likenesses, what would happen? What do you think would be the ramifications for a company if they release, say, a wrestling game or a football game or basketball game or anything like that, where it's like a blank slate? So they didn't actually animate any of these people into the game, but what they do is then you buy the game and it's a blank slate, but they give you all the attributes and the shaders and tell you what numbers you need to put everything at to create all these likenesses in the game.
So they're just basically saying like, here, you violate their like IP rights and stuff for us.
Well, I'm saying technically they're created characters, but they're just telling you, hey, like back in the day, like when you would play like a wrestling game and you'd be like, oh, they didn't put
so and so in the game. Like, I mean, that was the beauty of No Mercy. Like you could go old school WCW. To this day, I put new people in that game just because it plays so well.
Yeah, they're like, oh, they didn't put Ultimate Warrior in here. And then you would go online and somebody's created a guide, like, put eyes at number 5 and then put shoulders at number 6 and do all of that. Like, could a company get in trouble if they released a game that was just like a blank slate, like a No Mercy pretty much was, but they released like a guide and it's like, here's how you create LeBron James.
It's like 40 Akimans essentially.
Right. Because I remember a couple of years ago, this was the big legal case was these tattoo artists were going and suing these video game companies for recreating their artwork in the game, which I thought was stupid because it's like, it's art and you made it, but somebody bought it from you, so now it's theirs. It's not an NFT.
But so that's a copyright issue, and like it's whether or not you transfer the right to like reproduce it essentially. And so like tattoos in and of themselves, and the fact that it was put into the game really kind of added a new little wrinkle to it. I don't remember. I know like exactly the case you're talking about because they were saying I think it was NBA 2K if I'm not mistaken. But it was like I don't remember the exact specifics and like how the court ruled or anything like that. But it was
2K lost
to the tattoo artist.
Yeah, and so now they have to get legal. They have to sign. Any player that goes and gets a tattoo, they got to take paperwork with them and get them to sign off on the release.
So I mean, essentially, a tattoo is always property of the tattoo artist. Then.
Yeah, that's pretty much.
I mean, even if it's on, if you think about it, it's on your arm, and you're like, oh, don't take a picture because, like, and that's what I mean. Like,
that's where I came down on. I was like, that's tricky.
Yeah. But I mean that to me that's the fun law. like I mean there's purposes for every aspect of it, you know, whether it's family law, personal injury, all that stuff. But like these like little, especially gaming nuances, I think there's so much fun.
Because a random tidbit I found a couple years ago was that it's actually illegal to take a picture of the Eiffel Tower when it's lit up because that's copyright. That buildings have copyright.
Oh, in the same way that you couldn't go rebuild it if you wanted to. And I mean, it's copyright. Like, I'm sure there's lawyers that do entire podcasts on this kind of stuff, which I don't know if I want to go down that rabbit hole, but.
I almost got into communication law in school because I had a professor who told me I should go into that.
It's like, I really enjoy the intellectual aspect of it. Like, you really get to dive in and figure out the nuts and bolts of it. And that's, so like I said, that's why I still keep it active. But like with Carcade, it's nice because it's a lot more social. It can be like, hey, what are you guys doing tomorrow? Like, great, let's go hang out and, you know, play some of these games we were talking about. And, you know, like that's the, like, it's more involving. It's a better office view. Like, that's the fun part for me.
So, just a couple more questions. Xavier, Mustafa, Chris Black, you guys got anything before I ask my next question?
I don't know. Like I said, I'm not much of a gamer, but I will say that I'm disappointed that the Earthworm Jim franchise didn't jump the fuck off because that was the greatest game ever.
And now that creator's lost his mind.
Oh,
I love that game too.
You guys, you reminded me of something as far as rare games and stuff. Like, it's a little crazy tidbit. I'll share it afterwards.
Okay. I was just gonna ask. So, Carcade, you said you could pull up anywhere, pretty much set up an entire gaming rig, LAN party, all that type of stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it just usually it depends on the game. I got two 60-inch TVs, and so it fits in a normal parking spot. And if you want to do something like play online, like there's Wi-Fi capable, like I'm happy to like put anything together that way. But a lot of it depends on the game, and the new stuff is almost more of a challenge. Like especially kids, like with birthdays, they're like, I want to play Fortnite. Well, great, that's one person for one TV. Like if you wanted to play Halo, you can get 8 people going at once across the two of them. So that's the more fun aspect, but something you typically find in the more retro systems now, as opposed to always on the same console, same TV. So like, yeah, it's great to be able to play against 100 people anywhere in the world, but there's still something that doesn't beat having those 3 people, those 5 people next to you talking smack.
See, man, you got to get together. We got to do a Mario Kart party.
Oh my dude, I just hosted a backyard Mario Kart, like a 16-person tourney across both of them. Like it's so 64 or which one?
I'm a big fan of Double Dash. Like that's one of my favorites on the GameCube. And then what's the recent one? 8? Whatever the new one is.
On the Switch?
Yeah.
Yeah. I even thought it'd be fun to do. There's a local brewery. We actually started a Mario Kart league. So we go through the cups, and then I throw a couple wrinkles in just because I know the game, just to keep it fun. So it's like, hey, if one guy's a really, really good racer, then everybody still has a chance to kind of compete. Mm-hmm. And it's no different than, you know, a soccer league or a billiards or a dart league in a bar or whatever. It's just, it's a new frontier. And some people are like, yeah, I stopped playing games in middle school. You're an adult child. Like, get over yourself. But at the same time, I'm like, it's another form of entertainment, and it brings people together, and you can have fun, and you don't have to get totally crazy about it. And you can be uber competitive, or you can just be like, look, we're just hanging out, having fun. And so, like, pretty much for all of these, like, I usually fall somewhere in the middle. But I wanted to do an evolution league. Like, you can play Mario Kart on the Super Nintendo, and then GameCube, Double Dash, and then 64, and then there's the Ultimate. And I mean, like, you've got 5 or 6 consoles of Mario Kart, I think, to choose from. So I thought, like, just little nuances like that, I'm like, that would be fun to see. And, like, pretty much anything I do, like, I just like, hey, is this something I want to do? Does this sound fun to me? Like, all right, cool. Hopefully it is for other people.
Yeah, he's always bringing up Mario Kart, but he's trash.
I'm not trash.
See, now we got it. Now we got the challenge. I like it.
But then the game he never wants to bring up, because he really knows what's going to happen if he brings that up, is Super Smash Brothers Brawl.
I hate Super Smash Brothers. I'll play it, but I don't like that game.
Man, we got to bring back is Guitar Hero. I think it's time for Guitar Hero to have a resurrection.
That's actually going to be my question.
There's another fun streaming. Like, are you streaming music if you're playing Guitar Hero or Rock Band?
Yeah, and they took all my music away that I bought. I can't get it back. I can't get it back from that. I can't get it back from Dance Central. Yeah, there's a lot of things when it comes to copyright that they got to get. Like, Twitch and YouTube want to become gaming streaming central, but then you try to play and you get, or even beyond music games, like Madden has real soundtracks with real music now, and you try to stream that and you get copyright strikes. Like,
there was a one, I kind of co-host a gaming show on a local channel for Twitch, and I put in.
You can shout them out.
Oh, it's on a TVMGC on Twitch at TVMGC. It's a show called 414 Play. A little bit of wordplay, a little bit of punnage, but all local guys just kind of hanging out, talking games, talking things we're collecting, talking some cool events and everything going on in the city. Usually digresses into sports and just totally random stuff. But there was I totally brain farted. I forgot where I was going with this. But what were we just? I
was mentioning the original soundtracks having.
Oh yes, thank you. So we streamed Project Gotham Racing, and I did it from my old Xbox. And remember how you could like put CDs in and it would store the soundtracks?
Yep.
And I'm driving in like an Enzo, like down some random city street or whatever, and all of a sudden I hear, "I'm a bad man," and I'm like, "Oh snap! I got Rikishi's old music like on the Xbox." I'm like, "All right, cool." Like the old WWE CDs are on there. I'm like, I can roll with this.
Yeah, I used to have all of those on there because when I played WWE Raw back in the day, having the custom soundtracks for my entrances. Like, man, there was the days I miss being able to burn my disc, use my soundtracks and music on games and stuff like that. Now you just took me back.
And that's the whole fun of doing it with people too. Like having, like, I never even would have remembered that I had the WWF soundtracks like set up on my Xbox.
Yeah, and when you played it online, it couldn't play your music. So.
Oh, it did, and then we haven't had anything, but I think that episode has since expired. But it was one of those cool things where you can still hear it a little bit in the background, but and that would be both a glorious and a kind of a sad copyright strike. Like, yeah, dude, we heard you playing like Bad Man by WWE and Jim Johnson on your one stream. Like, that's strike one for you.
All right. So just one more quick question, and it might go to one more, but so do you have any collaborations right now with like any food trucks or anything like that? Like if somebody wanted to book you and bring you out for an event, is that something that you are able to accommodate, or like a liquor or anything like that as well?
So I'm finding I'm always open to collaborate with people, whether it's a food truck. Liquor, it's a licensing issue. You can only sell like from a location, hence that's why you don't get like, hey, there's the beer truck that just goes everywhere, like the ice cream truck, essentially. But it's more like, so like there's a nuance to that and the licensing of it. Food trucks, you don't have the alcohol issue. I'm always game. Like I'm always, like last night I was at the Milwaukee night market and we were playing, Mario Kart 64, and it was just there for everybody to hang out and have a good time and play. And so like being at anywhere that way, like I'm always happy to. I've been at, like I was in Appleton for the Timber Rattlers, their baseball, playing MLB The Show on PS4 and then RBI on the NES right next to it.
So then the question people are naturally going to have, is there a cost to play?
If it's, I usually do more of a party package as opposed to that food truck sales is probably the best analogy. So if you wanted to play, I'd say, great, here's, 3 hours, it's yours. I'll bring whatever games you want, whatever consoles you want, and you can decide if it's you that want, like if you want to sit and play Zelda for 3 hours in a park, go for it. I'm happy to, but that's why it makes it more fun. So otherwise, if I'm set up for public events, like the night market, next weekend I'll be at the lakefront for a food truck festival as well. That's totally open play. You're more than welcome to come say what's up, and jump in right away. Totally happy to do that.
All right, this is going to be released way in the future, probably 2 months from now. So
so that lakefront food festival that I did 2 months ago, it was really great. It was a good experience. Thank you to everybody that came out.
I look like Xavier Mustafa had a question. I saw him sit up.
Oh no, I don't have a question. I was just laughing.
Oh, okay.
And I honestly, guys, I'm sorry. I if I keep talking, just by all means tell me to shut up and just be all right, it's my turn to talk. This is your guys' show, so
we like when our guests talk.
I appreciate the invite. I feel like I could keep going for hours with you guys. This has been awesome. Thank you.
And so far we focused on digital games. Do you do any tabletop as well when you pull up sometimes?
I've thought about it. I'm a fan of them. It's a little tougher. You essentially you'd be setting them on the platform where the TVs are. It would be a fun way to try to find it, but it's pretty much all video games console based for the most part.
All right. And this would be my final one. Do you have streaming capabilities when you pull up?
Yes, sir. So depending when this airs, and depending how certain things work out for what I'm doing, the idea started with just the vehicle, trying to be able to do that. And then obviously I was like, these look like 2 computer monitors that are exactly what I stream from when I play. And so it was almost out of necessity because of COVID, where I was like, well, I can do online streams from the Carcade, whether it be connecting to Wi-Fi or setting up a hotspot for myself. And I did it just to mess around. I'll go to a local park and I did a fantasy football draft on one of the screens because I just plugged my laptop in. Or, and then you can play Madden online on the TV next to it. So it can totally use the new school tech to make the old retro stuff a lot better.
And links for everything he's discussed on here will be down in the description. Everything from the Carcade, if you need attorney services.
No, let's attorney services, you'll have to find me. But that's otherwise, like I said, I'm happy to discuss anything gaming. That's
right. The Twitch channels. I'm sure you got your own personal Twitch channel too.
Yes. So you'll find me. I'm at Ludio1, which, being a language nerd that I am, it's a play on my last name, but it's Ludio is Latin for player. So it kind of seemed too, serendipitous to all right, I got to try with this business. And so then the WON, Ludio1, it's again more wordplay because I am that nerd. Carcade is at Carcade Games, so that's where you're going to see some of the cool shows and some of the things I'm developing for live streaming from the vehicle. And then at TV MGC, it's 414 play, usually late Thursday night. So we'll see if I can still sneak one in tonight, maybe even.
All right.
If the other guys are still up.
All right. I don't have anything else. You guys got anything else?
Nope. I'm good.
Nope.
Just keeping me on retainer.
Yeah. Would you mentioning that Ludio means player? Obviously, you couldn't sing Big Pun. I don't want to be a player no more because it's just in you.
I gotta be that player now. So.
Well, you just pretty much gave out all your social medias. Like I said, links for everything he just mentioned will be down in the description. Xavier Mustafa, Chris Black, you know the drill.
You can catch me at Xavier Mustafa on Facebook and the Twitter. You can also catch my solo podcast at XM Cinema on Facebook, Twitter, and on Instagram.
And you can find me at The Natural Chris Black on Facebook and Instagram, and also at _natural_CB on Twitter. And if you're a fan of New Japan Pro Wrestling, be sure to check out my YouTube channel where I review all things New Japan.
And obviously you're here on YouTube, so be sure to hit that subscribe button, ring that bell, and give us a like. Help us out with the algorithm. Also, you can catch us over on Facebook, where we have 2 different pages. We have our official Slamcasters page, as well as our Slam board. Slam board is more of a discussion board where you can interact with other fans of the show. We post news in there and give a lot of thoughts and opinions. And also be
Nudes.
sure.
I was going to say news or nudes.
You said nude. You might post some news, Mustafa.
You said nudes. I didn't say that.
You know.
Just send them all that way. You guys are good.
I know they shut down OnlyFans a couple of months ago, but
Oh no, OnlyFans is still up. That's coming up in October, I believe.
They're trying to diversify, actually.
Jesus Christ, I just told y'all that this is coming out in the future. But anyways,
Oops. Sorry.
be sure to join our Discord if you haven't yet. That we go live over there, and you can interact with us during pay-per-views and different things like that. Like we said a couple of months ago, we're still kind of on our WWE boycott, so you're going to be getting all the different updates on the podcast for all the other Forbidden Door promotions is what we've been calling them. So be sure to check us out. Check out the podcast wherever you get your podcast from, Saturday Night Slamcasters. You can also catch me at SlamcasterTE78 over on Twitter. Not very active over there. I'm a lot more active over on Discord, so I like to see you guys join us up over there. But other than that, we up out of here. Holla at your boys. Come get slammed. Peace.